The bridge of the exploration ship New Horizon hummed with quiet activity. Captain Jake Morrison stood near the main display, watching the stars drift past as they traveled through deep space. The ship had been out here for 6 months, mapping new systems and looking for signs of life. So far, they had found nothing but empty planets and dead rocks. Lisa Martinez sat at her communication station, her headphones on as she listened to the usual background noise of space. Radio waves from distant stars, cosmic radiation, and the normal chatter from Earth stations far behind them. She had been doing this job for 3 years and knew every sound that space could make. Then something changed. "Captain," Lisa called out, pulling off her headphones. "I'm getting something strange here." "It's not natural." Morrison walked over to her station. "What kind of strange?" "It's a signal, sir. Very weak, but it's definitely artificial, and it's coming from way out there." She pointed to a spot on her screen that showed a direction far from any known human colonies. Dr. Alan Brooks, the ship's expert on languages, looked up from his computer. "Can you clean it up? Make it clearer?" Lisa worked at her controls for several minutes. Slowly, the static faded and a pattern emerged. It wasn't random noise. It was a message, "My God," Brooks whispered. "That's mathematics. Universal mathematics. Someone's trying to talk to us." Sophie Davis, the ship's mathematician, rushed over to listen. The signal played again and again, each time revealing more structure. Numbers, equations, basic physics concepts that any intelligent species would understand. "It's a distress call," Sophie said after an hour of analysis. "Look at this pattern here. It's repeating the same sequence over and over. SOS in mathematical form." Morrison felt his heart race. This was it. First contact with alien life. But they were asking for help. "Where's it coming from?" he asked. Lisa checked her instruments. "The Kepler 442 system. About 1,200 light-years from here." "That's impossible," Dr. Brooks said. "That signal would have taken 1,200 years to reach us." "How can we help with something that old?" Sophie shook her head. "No, look at these readings. This signal is using some kind of quantum relay system. It's arriving in real time, but from very far away. Whoever sent this has technology we don't understand." Over the next 3 days, the team worked to decode more of the message. Slowly, a picture emerged that made everyone on the bridge go quiet. The aliens called themselves the Veltar. They were traders and explorers, peaceful people who had never known war. But now something called the Zephyrian Dominion was attacking their worlds. The message showed images transmitted through the same quantum system. Cities burning, ships destroyed, millions of people running for their lives. But the part that shocked the humans most was how the Veltar described Earth and its people. They called humans deathworlders. According to their message, Earth was classified as one of the most dangerous planets in the known galaxy. The weather was too violent, the radiation too strong, the gravity too heavy. Most species would die just trying to land there. "They think we're monsters," Morrison said quietly as he read the translation. "No," Sophie corrected. "They think we're warriors. Look at this part. They say deathworlders are legendary, stories told to scare children. But they're asking for our help anyway because they have no other choice." The message made it clear that the Veltar homeworld Velketh was under direct attack. Their defenses were failing and billions would die if no one came to help. They had sent their distress call to every corner of the galaxy, hoping someone would answer. Morrison made a decision that would change human history. He ordered Lisa to send a message back to Earth, to Admiral Kevin Stone at Earth Defense Command. The message was simple. First contact confirmed. Alien species under attack. Request immediate instructions. The reply came back faster than expected. Admiral Stone himself appeared on the communication screen, his face grim. "Captain Morrison, I need you to send us everything you have on this situation. Every bit of data, every translation, every image. The President and the Global Defense Council are meeting in 2 hours." Dr. Brooks stepped forward. "Admiral, there's something else you need to know. According to the Veltar database we've been able to access, this Zephyrian Dominion controls 40 star systems. They've been conquering and destroying other species for centuries. If we get involved in this, we're not just helping one planet. We're starting a war." Stone nodded grimly. "I understand, Doctor, but we can't ignore a plea for help from innocent people. And if these Zephyrians think they can just destroy entire civilizations, maybe it's time they learned what a real deathworld can do." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of the New Horizon in silence. Morrison looked at his crew. seeing the same mix of fear and excitement in their faces that he felt himself. "Sir," Lisa said quietly, "I'm still receiving updates from the Veltar system. Their situation is getting worse by the hour. If we're going to help them, it needs to be soon." Morrison nodded. "Keep monitoring everything. Record it all. And prepare a full report for Admiral Stone. Something tells me the Earth Defense Fleet is about to take its first trip outside our solar system." As the bridge crew worked to gather more information, none of them realized they were witnessing the beginning of humanity's expansion into the galaxy. The Veltar had sent their distress call hoping for help from anyone who might answer. They had no idea they had just woken up the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Back on the Veltar homeworld, Ambassador Letharia watched the sky fill with enemy ships. The Zephyrian Dominion had come in force and her people's defenses were crumbling. She had sent the distress call 3 days ago, but no one had answered. No one ever answered anymore. The galaxy had learned to fear the Dominion too much to fight them. But as she prepared for the end, Letharia didn't know that 1,200 light-years away, a species that evolution had forged into living weapons had heard her call. The Deathworlders were coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. The emergency meeting room in Earth Defense Command buzzed with tension. Admiral Kevin Stone stood at the head of a long table, watching as the most powerful people on Earth filed in. President Elizabeth Ward took her seat, followed by General Chris Martinez, Intelligence Director Sam Collins, and Dr. Nicole Grant from the Space Science Institute. "Ladies and gentlemen," Admiral Stone began, 3 hours ago we received confirmation of intelligent alien life. They're under attack and they're asking for our help." The room exploded in questions and arguments. General Martinez slammed his hand on the table. "We have to help them. We can't just sit here while innocent people die." Diplomat Helen Price shook her head. "We don't know anything about galactic politics. What if we make things worse? What if we start a war we can't win?" Dr. Grant leaned forward. "I've analyzed the data from the New Horizon. The Veltar are telling the truth. Their planet is dying. And this Zephyrian Dominion has been doing this for centuries. They've destroyed entire civilizations." President Ward looked around the table. "Admiral Stone, what are our options?" Stone activated the holographic display in the center of the room. A map of local space appeared, showing Earth and the distant Veltar system. "We have 3 choices," Stone said. "First, we ignore the message and hope the problem goes away. Second, we send a small diplomatic mission to try to negotiate. Third, we send a military force to intervene directly." "How big a military force?" the president asked. Stone smiled grimly. "Everything we have." The Deep Space Defense Fleet had been Admiral Stone's pet project for 5 years. While other military leaders focused on defending Earth itself, Stone had pushed for ships that could operate far from home. The project had been expensive and controversial, but now it looked like the best decision Earth had ever made. "The fleet consists of 57 vessels," Stone explained. "The flagship Earthbreaker, 12 heavy cruisers, 24 destroyers, and 20 support ships, all equipped with our latest technology." Captain Danny Rodriguez, who had been quietly listening from the back of the room, stepped forward. "Sir, the Earthbreaker is ready for deployment. My crew has been training for deep space operations for 2 years. Engineer Amy Johnson pulled up technical specifications on her tablet. "Admiral, our weapon systems were designed for asteroid defense and solar storm protection. But according to the Veltar data, what we consider normal technology might be devastating against species that evolved on easier worlds." Intelligence Director Collins opened a thick file. "I've been analyzing everything we know about the Zephyrian Dominion. They control 40 star systems, but their military doctrine is based on fighting species from what they call garden worlds, peaceful planets with stable climates and weak gravity." "What does that mean for us?" President Ward asked. Dr. Grant answered. "It means they've never fought anyone like us. Earth is what they call a death world. Our gravity is twice what most species can handle. Our weather would kill them. Our radiation levels would fry their electronics. We're built for war because our planet tried to kill us every day for millions of years." General Martinez grinned. "So we're naturally tougher than anything they've ever seen." "More than that," Johnson added. "Our ships are built to survive in space around Earth. Solar flares, cosmic radiation, meteor impacts. What protects us from our own solar system will make us nearly invincible against weapons designed for garden world species." Admiral Stone called up another display showing the fleet's weapons. Kinetic bombardment cannons that fire metal slugs at 10% the speed of light. Plasma torpedo arrays designed to punch through asteroid shields. Gravity manipulation systems that can tear apart space debris. My God, Price whispered. We're not sending a rescue mission. We're sending an invasion force. No, President Ward said firmly. We're sending a message. The message that innocent people don't have to die while we watch. Admiral Stone, how long to reach the Veltar system? With our fastest ships and the new quantum jump drives, 18 hours. The President stood up. Then we leave in 6 hours. General Martinez, prepare ground forces for possible deployment. Director Collins, I want everything you can find on Zephyrian tactics. Dr. Grant, you're coming with us as our alien species expert. As the meeting broke up, Admiral Stone pulled Captain Rodriguez aside. Danny, I need you to understand something. We're about to become the first humans to fight an alien species. Everything we do out there will be remembered forever. Rodriguez nodded. The crew understands, sir. We've been preparing for this our whole lives, even if we didn't know it. 6 hours later, the largest fleet in human history launched from Earth orbit. The Earthbreaker led the way, its massive bulk bristling with weapons that had never been tested in real combat. Behind it came the heavy cruisers Stormbringer, Iron Wolf, and Thunderstrike, each one carrying enough firepower to level a small moon. On the bridge of the Earthbreaker, Captain Rodriguez watched Earth shrink behind them. Communications Officer Tim Brooks sat at his station, maintaining contact with Earth Defense Command. Weapons Officer Kate Williams ran final checks on the ship's armament. Captain, pilot Marcus Thompson called from his station. Quantum jump drive is ready. We can make the jump to Veltar space whenever you give the order. Rodriguez looked around his bridge at the men and women who would soon make history. They were about to become humanity's first ambassadors to the galaxy, and they were going armed for war. All ships, this is Earthbreaker Actual, Rodriguez announced over the fleet communication system. We're going to help people who asked for our protection. We're going to show the galaxy that Earth stands for something, and we're going to make sure that anyone who threatens innocent life knows what happens when they mess with deathworlders. The fleet engaged their quantum drives and disappeared from Earth's solar system. Behind them, the world waited to learn if their children would return as heroes or martyrs. In the Veltar system, the final defense stations around the planet were falling. The Zephyrian fleet had grown to over 200 ships, and they were preparing for the final assault. Ambassador Letharia stood in the capital city's emergency bunker, watching the last of her people's hopes die on the tactical displays. She didn't know that help was already on the way, traveling faster than light toward their dying world. The Deathworlders had heard her call, and they were coming with the full might of a species that had survived everything the universe could throw at them. The human fleet dropped out of quantum space at the edge of the Veltar system, and Captain Rodriguez immediately knew they were too late. The planet Velketh hung in space, surrounded by a ring of Zephyrian warships. Explosions flashed across the planet's surface as the bombardment continued. Sir, Communications Officer Tim Brooks called out, I'm reading over 200 enemy vessels. They've got the planet completely surrounded. Weapons Officer Kate Williams checked her displays. Their ships are larger than ours, but they're using old-style energy weapons. Nothing we haven't seen before. Dr. Nicole Grant, who had been studying the alien technology during the journey, looked up from her scanner. Captain, those ships are beautiful, but they're not built for war. Look at their hulls. Thin metal, decorative curves. They're designed to look impressive, not to take damage. Rodriguez nodded grimly. Tim, open a channel to the Zephyrian fleet. All frequencies. The communication system crackled to life, and Rodriguez spoke in a calm, clear voice that would be remembered across the galaxy for centuries. Zephyrian vessels, this is Captain Danny Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are attacking innocent civilians. Withdraw your forces immediately or face the consequences. The response came quickly. A tall reptilian alien appeared on the main screen, his scales glittering with jewels and precious metals. His voice was filled with arrogance and contempt. I am Fleet Commander Zethkol of the Zephyrian Dominion. You dare threaten us, primitive deathworlders? Your crude ships are no match for the might of our empire. Surrender now and we may allow you to serve us as slaves. Rodriguez looked around his bridge at his crew. They had come here to save lives, and instead they had been insulted and threatened. The decision was easy. All ships, this is Earthbreaker Actual. We are officially at war with the Zephyrian Dominion. Weapons free. Show them what Earth can do. The battle began with the Zephyrians firing first, sending streams of colorful energy beams toward the human ships. The weapons looked impressive, lighting up space with brilliant colors, but when they hit the human vessels, they barely scratched the hull plating. Their weapons are designed for show, Kate Williams reported. They're not even getting through our standard armor. Captain Rodriguez smiled. Return fire. Let's see how they handle real weapons. The Earthbreaker's main guns fired, sending solid metal slugs accelerated to incredible speeds toward the enemy fleet. The Zephyrian ships had shields designed to stop energy weapons, but they had never encountered kinetic bombardment before. The first human volley punched through 3 enemy ships like they were made of paper. The metal slugs hit with the force of small nuclear weapons, tearing the beautiful alien vessels apart in seconds. Across the human fleet, the same scene played out again and again. Ships that had been built to survive in Earth's hostile space environment proved to be nearly indestructible against weapons designed for garden world conflicts. Sir, pilot Marcus Thompson called out, enemy fighters are launching. Hundreds of them. Launch our own fighters, Rodriguez ordered. Let's see how they handle Earth pilots. Marcus led the first squadron personally, diving into the swarm of Zephyrian fighters in his small, heavily armored ship. The enemy pilots flew in perfect formations, executing textbook maneuvers that would have impressed any military academy. But they had never faced pilots who had learned to fly in Earth's chaotic atmosphere, dodging through asteroid fields and navigating solar storms. Marcus and his squadron moved like sharks among minnows, their aggressive tactics and high-G maneuvers completely overwhelming the alien pilots. These guys fly like they're in a parade, Marcus radioed back to the Earthbreaker. They've never fought anyone who doesn't follow the rules. Within an hour, the tide of battle had turned completely. Half the Zephyrian fleet was destroyed or disabled, and the rest were trying to retreat. But Captain Rodriguez wasn't finished yet. Tim, get me a channel to the planet. Find someone in charge down there. The communication system worked for several minutes before a new voice came through, speaking in the musical language of the Veltar. Dr. Grant's translation software converted it to English. This is Ambassador Letharia of the Veltar Council. Who are you? How are you defeating the Dominion so easily? Ambassador, this is Captain Rodriguez of Earth. We received your distress call. We're here to help. There was a long pause before Letharia responded, her voice filled with wonder and disbelief. Earth? But you're Deathworlders. We thought you were legends. Stories told to frighten children. We're real, Ambassador, and we don't like bullies. Rodriguez turned to his weapons officer. Kate, target the remaining Zephyrian ships. But don't destroy them yet. I want to send a message. The human fleet surrounded the retreating Zephyrian vessels, their weapons locked on but not firing. Captain Rodriguez opened a channel to Fleet Commander Zeth Cole. Commander, you have 2 choices. Surrender now and we'll let you leave. Keep fighting and we'll show you why the galaxy fears Deathworlders. Zeth Cole's face appeared on screen again, but the arrogance was gone. His scales had turned pale and his jeweled decorations seemed to hang loosely on his trembling form. This is impossible. Your ships should have been destroyed. Your weapons are primitive. How are you winning? Dr. Grant stepped forward. Commander, your species evolved on a peaceful world. Beautiful weather, stable climate, light gravity. Our world tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We built our ships to survive solar storms and asteroid impacts. We trained our pilots to fly through hurricanes and space debris. You're not fighting primitives. You're fighting a species that was forged by the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. The Zephyrian commander stared at her for a long moment, then slowly raised his hands in surrender. We yield. Please spare my remaining ships. Go, Rodriguez said simply. Go back to your empire and tell them what happened here. Tell them that Earth protects innocent life, and tell them that if they attack civilians again, we'll come for them. As the broken Zephyrian fleet limped away from the system, Captain Rodriguez opened a new channel to the planet below. Ambassador Letharia, this is Captain Rodriguez. The Zephyrian fleet has been defeated. Your world is safe. The response came through mixed with what sounded like cheering and celebration in the background. Captain Rodriguez, we cannot express our gratitude. We thought we were going to die. How can we ever repay you? Rodriguez looked around his bridge at his crew, then out at the beautiful blue-green planet they had just saved. You already have, Ambassador. You reminded us why we reach for the stars. To help people. To make the galaxy a better place. and to show anyone who threatens innocent life that Earth is watching. As the human fleet took up protective positions around Vel Keth, none of them realized that news of their victory was already spreading across the galaxy at the speed of light. The Deathworlders had revealed themselves, and they had proven that all the legends were true. The galaxy would never be the same. News of the Zephyrian defeat traveled across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. Within days, every major civilization had heard the same impossible story. The legendary Deathworlders were real, and they had destroyed a Dominion fleet with ease. On the massive space station called Harmony Prime, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. Chancellor Vexmore of the Andromedans called the meeting to order, his normally calm voice showing signs of strain. "Fellow representatives," he began, "we face a situation unlike any in recorded history. A new species has entered galactic affairs, and they have demonstrated military capabilities that exceed our understanding." The council chamber buzzed with nervous whispers. Representatives from dozens of species had gathered, each one trying to understand what the arrival of humans meant for their own worlds. Ambassador Kethlop of the Centauri Trade Union stood up. "Chancellor, we've all heard the reports, but surely they're exaggerated. No species could destroy a Dominion fleet so easily." "I'm afraid the reports are accurate," Chancellor Vexmore replied. "We have confirmation from multiple sources. The human fleet defeated over 200 Zephyrian vessels with minimal casualties. On Earth, Dr. Paul Martinez studied the first biological samples the Veltar had provided. What he found shocked him. The aliens were incredibly fragile by human standards. Their bones were hollow like bird bones. Their blood couldn't clot properly, and their organs were so delicate that Earth's gravity would crush them. "My God," he whispered to his assistant. "These people are made of glass. How do they even survive on their own worlds?" Meanwhile, Ambassador Helen Price prepared for humanity's first diplomatic mission to the galaxy. She had been chosen because of her years of experience in international relations, but nothing had prepared her for dealing with alien civilizations. "Remember," Dr. Grant briefed her, "what seems normal to us might terrify them. Try to move slowly, speak softly, and don't make any sudden movements." Price nodded, checking her diplomatic uniform one more time. "What about security?" Colonel Steve Jackson stepped forward. "Ma'am, I'll be leading a minimal security detail. Just 5 men. The Council specifically requested that we bring as few armed Deathworlders as possible." The human diplomatic ship arrived at Harmony Prime 3 days later. The space station was beautiful, built like a crystal flower floating in space. But as soon as the human shuttle approached, panic spread through the station. "Emergency protocols activated," came the announcement over the station's communication system. "Deathworlder vessel approaching. All personnel to secure positions." Ambassador Price watched through the shuttle's window as alien ships fled from the docking area. "Are they afraid of us?" she asked. Colonel Jackson checked his equipment. "Ma'am, according to the intelligence briefings, just being in the same room as a human is considered extremely dangerous by most galactic species. We're like walking tanks to them." The shuttle docked and Price walked out into the station wearing nothing but her diplomatic uniform. The sight of an unarmored human caused several alien security guards to faint. The station's atmosphere was perfectly safe for humans, but it required environmental suits for most other species. "Welcome to Harmony Prime," Chancellor Vexmore said, his voice coming through a translator device. He was standing inside a protective bubble, wearing what looked like a full spacesuit. "Please forgive our precautions, but your species is intimidating." "Chancellor," Price replied, "we come in peace. We only want to establish friendly relations with the galactic community." The first diplomatic session went smoothly until Dominion Ambassador Kralvez arrived. The Zephyrian diplomat burst into the chamber, his scales bright red with anger. "Chancellor, I demand that this council condemn these humans as a rogue military force. They attacked Dominion vessels without provocation." Price stood up slowly, and several alien representatives moved back in fear. "Ambassador Kralvez, your forces were committing genocide against the Veltar people." "We responded to a distress call." "Lies," Kralvez shouted. "The Veltar are subjects of the Dominion. We were restoring order." Dr. Grant activated her datapad and projected holographic images into the chamber. "These are records from captured Dominion databases. Over the past century, your empire has destroyed 43 civilizations. Billions of innocent people." The chamber fell silent as the evidence played out. Images of burning cities, destroyed fleets, and empty worlds where thriving civilizations once existed. Intelligence analyst Tony Davis had worked for weeks to decode the Dominion files. What he found was a catalog of horrors that stretched back centuries. The Zephyrians hadn't just conquered other species. They had systematically erased them from existence. "My God," Chancellor Vexmore whispered. "We knew the Dominion was aggressive, but this is systematic extermination." Ambassador Kralvez's scales began to turn pale. "Those records are classified. How did you obtain them?" Colonel Jackson stepped forward, and his mere presence caused the Zephyrian ambassador to stumble backward. "We took them from your database after we captured your command ships. Your security wasn't designed to keep out Deathworlders." The session was interrupted by alarms blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed as the station's defense coordinator announced over the communication system. "Dominion fleet approaching. All vessels prepare for possible attack." Through the chamber's windows, they could see Zephyrian warships emerging from quantum space. Dozens of them moving in perfect formation toward the station. "They wouldn't dare attack Harmony Prime," Chancellor Vexmore said, but his voice showed doubt. Colonel Jackson was already moving, his hand on his weapon. "Ma'am, we need to get you to safety," but Ambassador Price shook her head. "No, Colonel. This is exactly what we came here to prevent." "How many people are on this station?" "Over 50,000, the Chancellor replied. "But our defenses are minimal. Harmony Prime has always been neutral territory." Price made a decision that would change galactic history. "Colonel, contact the Earthbreaker. Tell Captain Rodriguez we need immediate assistance." "Ma'am, they're 18 hours away at best," Jackson replied. "Then we hold for 18 hours. The Zephyrian fleet surrounded Harmony Prime, and Ambassador Kralvez received a communication from his military commanders." He listened for a moment, then turned to address the council. "Fleet Commander Zethvrak demands the immediate surrender of the human delegation. If they are not handed over within 1 hour, this station will be destroyed." The council chamber erupted in panic, but Ambassador Price stood calmly at the center of the chaos. "Chancellor," she said, "I need you to evacuate all non-essential personnel to the secure areas of the station. Colonel Jackson and his team will handle the defense." 5 humans against an entire fleet?" Chancellor Vexmore asked in disbelief. Colonel Jackson checked his rifle and smiled grimly. "Sir, 5 humans is usually overkill." As the first Zephyrian boarding shuttles approached the station, the galaxy was about to learn its first lesson about what happened when you threatened Deathworlders. The beings that had survived on the most dangerous planet in known space were about to show why they were feared across the stars. The shuttles docked, and Zephyrian soldiers in heavy armor poured into the station corridors. They advanced in perfect formation, confident that their superior numbers would overwhelm any resistance. They had never fought humans before. Colonel Jackson and his 4-man team met the first wave in the station's main corridor. The battle was over in minutes. The Zephyrian soldiers, trained for combat on garden worlds, couldn't match the speed, strength, and aggression of humans who had evolved on a death world. As news of the fighting spread through the station, Chancellor Vexmore watched in amazement as 5 humans held off hundreds of enemy soldiers. "How is this possible?" he asked Dr. Grant. "Chancellor," she replied, "you're watching evolution in action. Every human on that team survived childhood on a planet that kills the weak. They're not just soldiers. They're the ultimate survivors." The attack on Harmony Prime changed everything. Within hours of the assault, Chancellor Vexmore sent an emergency message to every world in the galaxy. The Zephyrian Dominion had declared war on the Galactic Council itself by attacking neutral territory. But more importantly, the galaxy had witnessed 5 humans hold off an entire invasion force for 18 hours until help arrived. When Captain Rodriguez and the Earthbreaker fleet arrived to find Colonel Jackson's team still fighting in the station corridors, the legend of human warriors spread like wildfire across known space. Admiral Stone received the news while preparing Earth's full military response. The attack on human diplomats was an act of war, and Earth would respond accordingly. "Gentlemen," he addressed the Earth Defense Council, "the Zephyrian Dominion has made a critical error. They think they're fighting another garden world species. They have no idea what they've awakened. The largest fleet in human history assembled in Earth orbit. Over 200 warships led by the massive dreadnought Terra's Wrath under Fleet Admiral Rachel Scott. General Martinez coordinated ground forces from a dozen different nations, all united under the Earth Defense banner. The war began with human forces striking simultaneously at 12 Dominion worlds. The siege of Korthok Prime became legendary when Captain Rodriguez's task force broke through the planet's defenses in just 6 hours. The Zephyrian defenders had never faced an enemy that could ignore their energy weapons and punch through their shields with simple kinetic force. "Sir," Weapons Officer Kate Williams reported during the battle, "their defensive satellites are beautiful, but they're not designed for actual combat. They're more like decorations." The liberation of the Andromedan colonies took less than a week. Human ground forces, led by Colonel Jackson's newly expanded regiment, demonstrated why evolution on a death world created perfect soldiers. They moved faster, hit harder, and endured more punishment than any enemy the Dominion had ever faced. On the colony world of New Andromeda, Zephyrian Garrison Commander Velthak watched in horror as human soldiers advanced through weapons fire that should have killed them instantly. Their armor absorbed energy blasts that would have vaporized his own troops, and they kept fighting even when wounded. "How do we stop them?" his aide asked desperately. "We don't," Velthak replied, raising his hands in surrender. "We're fighting legends come to life." The war's momentum shifted completely in favor of the Allied forces. Species that had lived in fear of the Dominion for centuries suddenly found hope. The Veltar became humanity's closest allies, with Ambassador Letharia serving as liaison between Earth and the growing coalition of liberated worlds. "Your people have given us something we thought was lost forever," she told Ambassador Price during a strategy meeting. "You've given us the belief that evil can be defeated." But Emperor Vrakjul of the Zephyrian Dominion was not finished. From his capital world of Zephyrtel, he marshaled every resource his empire possessed. If the Deathworlders wanted a war, he would give them the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. "These humans think they are invincible," he declared to his war council, "but they are few in number. We will overwhelm them with sheer force." The final battle began when the Emperor's fleet of over 500 ships took position around Zephyrtel. Intelligence reports suggested the Dominion had stripped defenses from a dozen worlds to assemble this force. Fleet Admiral Scott studied the tactical display aboard Terra's Wrath. "They've made their last mistake," she told her staff. "They've concentrated their entire military in one system. When we win here, the war is over." The human fleet approached Zephyrtel in battle formation. The Terra's Wrath led the center, flanked by the heavy battleships Stormbringer and Iron Wolf. Captain Rodriguez commanded the right wing from Earthbreaker, while Admiral Stone himself had come from Earth to oversee the operation from the command ship Victory. Emperor Vrakjul, Admiral Stone broadcast to the enemy fleet, "Surrender now and your people will be treated with dignity. Continue this war and face the full might of Earth." The Emperor's response was immediate. "Deathworlders, you face the combined might of 40 star systems. Today your legend dies." The Battle of Zephyrtel became the largest space engagement in galactic history. The Dominion fleet attacked in waves, trying to use their numerical advantage to overwhelm the human ships. But the same technology that protected Earth vessels from solar storms and asteroid impacts proved devastating against enemy weapons designed for show rather than effect. Pilot Marcus Thompson, now commanding his own fighter squadron, led devastating strikes against Zephyrian capital ships. "Their big ships are just targets," he radioed to Terra's Wrath. "They can't maneuver. They can't take hits, and their fighters fly like they're afraid to get hurt." The tide turned when Captain Morrison, commanding the New Horizon as part of the main fleet, volunteered to lead a boarding action against the Emperor's flagship. Using the same quantum relay technology that the Veltar had used for their distress call, human scientists had developed short-range teleportation systems. Morrison and his team materialized directly on the bridge of the Imperial flagship, catching the Zephyrian command staff completely off guard. The sight of unarmored humans moving freely in what the aliens considered a hazardous environment shocked the Emperor into paralysis. "Your Majesty," Morrison said calmly, "your fleet is defeated. Your empire is finished. Surrender now and live." Emperor Vrakjul looked around his bridge at the human soldiers who had appeared like ghosts. His scales had turned pale white and his jeweled crown seemed too heavy for his trembling head. You are truly Deathworlders," he whispered. "I yield." I surrender my empire to you. The war ended with the capture of the Zephyrian Emperor. Across 40 star systems, Dominion forces laid down their weapons as news of their leader's defeat spread. The species that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was finished. 6 months later, Ambassador Price stood before the reformed Galactic Council, signing the Harmony Accords that formally established humanity as a major galactic power. The former Dominion worlds had been liberated and granted independence, while the galaxy restructured itself around the principle that no species had the right to destroy another. Today, Chancellor Vexmore announced, we begin a new era, an era where the strong protect the weak, where aggression is met with force, and where the galaxy can sleep peacefully knowing that the Deathworlders of Earth stand guard. Captain Morrison received new orders as the ceremony concluded. Deep space exploration beyond the galactic rim, searching for other civilizations that might need help or pose a threat. As he prepared the new horizon for departure, Dr. Brooks approached him with a puzzling report. Captain, we're receiving signals from beyond the galaxy. Other civilizations have heard about us. They want to know if the legends are true. Morrison smiled as he looked out at the stars. Well, Doctor, I guess we'll have to show them. The story ended where it began, with humans reaching into the unknown. But now they carried with them the knowledge that they were no longer alone, and that their strength came not from their weapons or their ships, but from their willingness to stand up for those who couldn't protect themselves. The galaxy had learned what happened when a species forged by a deathworld decided to make the stars their home. And in the vast darkness beyond, other civilizations were about to discover that Earth's children had only just begun to explore the universe.